Alrighty, so it is now wash day. We're gonna back it out outside and get this thing as clean as it's ever been in its entire life. And we're gonna be taking special notice to any little cracks, crevices, anywhere where there's gonna be an edge tucked in here, not only on the top side but also on these back sides, because our edges will fold up and over and around, so we want to also make sure the opposite side is also clean. And again, cracks, crevices, all this needs to be cleaned. So this thing's about to undergo a huge washing, and then we'll get it all dried off, pull it inside. I'll take the compressed air and chase out any more water that's inside the cracks that we can't really dry by hand, and then begin our wrapping part. So let's get on with it. The wind noise. I don't really have microphones for my camera yet. It's on the to-do list. But basically, instead of using my pressure washer, I'm just going to use regular garden hose with a sprayer with the different settings. That way it's a little bit more easier to control, and then that way we can have a really nice light setting for the parts that have the holes and stuff in them, so we don't want to just go all out with a pressure washer. So that's what I'll be using, and I'm gonna get some soap mixed up and we'll get started on the wash. Alright, so the tools and stuff I use for my prep washes, I have a little soft bristle brush that I use for kind of getting in the little areas that I can't get like my hand mitt in. This side I use on the paint, this side I use on plastics. This is for like the inner fender liners or the really heavy plastics that have a lot of dirt buildup on them. I'll use my little bit stiffer bristle brush on the heavy duty plastics. This is my water wicking towel. It's kind of like a ShamWow. So it's, oh, my camera just completely died on me. And we're not talking battery dead, we're talking like dead, like won't film dead. So, as I was saying, back to our stuff we're using. And then I just use any sort of soap, like automotive soap. This one is from a brand that had sent me some stuff on Instagram, Avalon King. So this is their Mega Foam shampoo. It's like a suds up one. It's like a really good foaming one. So I'm gonna use that. They have a really good ceramic coating that I have yet to use on anything because I'm working on everybody else's stuff. So that'll probably be a separate review. But anyways, those are what I'm be using. I'm gonna throw some water and soap in my Harbor Freight bucket and start washing this thing. So let's get it. got the whole car cleaned off, pulled in the shop, wiped down, I'm gonna now go through and wipe off the panel that I'm going to start the wrap with, which would be the roof. That way I can get a feel for the material, as well as that's like the flattest spot. And yeah, so I'm just gonna start with the roof. I'm just wiping it off. I have a spray bottle full of isopropyl alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. So that's what I'm gonna just be spraying it on and then wiping it all off with a microfiber towel. And paying attention to the cracks and crevices that are in the sunroof, in the rain guard, like the rain galley kind of here. So I'm just gonna spray it all off, get all of the dust and dirt out of it, and then I'll show y'all how we begin with the wrapping. So I just start by getting a nice heavy spray in those cracks. I already wiped down that other side, so we're just coming over here and doing this side. We're gonna get in here in this little galley as well. And then from there, I'm just going to wipe down any sort of like smudges or anything I'm gonna get off. Throw some elbow grease in there so that they come out. Alrighty. Come over here. Kind of flip the towel around so that we have a dry kind of spot. Go right over the glass. And continue over here. Another little spot kind of right there. Looks like that was like a rock chip or something right there. So that way I also have an idea of where imperfections are, so I can document them before I wrap and have that kind of as a guide so that I know that it wasn't anything in the wrap, it was on the paint itself. So now I'm going to take an edge. See, look at how nasty in those cracks are. So we're going to just shove our towel in there the best that we possibly can and get that as cleaned up as we possibly can. All the way down. Whew, disgusting. And that is why we clean there, because that's where we're trying to get the vinyl to attach to. And if it's coated with all that crud, it has nowhere to really attach to. So we're gonna finish up just wiping this all down. And you can see the outline of where the seal was for the satellite antenna. So then same thing with here. I'm gonna do the same thing and get my little towel. I'll probably wet it again because it's not very wet now. And go down these guard lines on both sides. So I got my corner of my towel kind of wet. We're gonna shove it down in there and run it up and down that rail. Nice. And then do the same thing on this side. Get a different little corner that's still wet and run it along this side. Nice. Since on this back glass where this kind of rain seal is, I'm going to take one of my tucking tools, put the towel around it and spray it down with alcohol. We're going to kind of shimmy it underneath here and just run that along as well, because I know that I'll be tucking the material in between here. Don't worry if it does that. You can just take your tucking tool back out, run it along here, and it'll pick it right back up. So there you go. Ta-da, good as new. Repeat that on the other side, and that way you're really getting a nice deep clean underneath, because look at all that stuff underneath. That was right here. So that's where our wrap will be actually going. It's going to be tucking up underneath this little lip, and so we want to make sure that's clean. I'm just going to wrap it with the sunroof open, and I'm just going to take a little clip and push this down to hold it down. That way it's a lot easier to clean inside of here, considering the fact that it's all open. So I'm just going to wipe around all of the edges and insides in here. That way it's much easier to clean and get around these edges that are in here. I got a nice little clip right here holding it down, and to not leave marks or anything like that, I've got a towel right there. But now it's a lot easier to get to here and kind of clean all this crud and dust out. After you've wiped everything down and cleaned everything, make sure that you don't have extra rubbing alcohol in little cracks, because if it's wet, it also won't stick. So you want to make sure it's super, super dry, no like residual rubbing alcohol pooled up anywhere, and that you've really got into these cracks. You can take that same tucking tool and do the same thing in these rails of wrapping it and then running it through here to really get a nice deep clean as well. So before I ordered the wrap, I actually pre-measured my car because it's the same make and model. Yes, these are a little bit wider because the wide body, but essentially the hood, the roof, the trunk lid, all those panels are the same exact measurement. So I already know that I'm gonna use a 70-inch long piece. Now, not all wrap, but majority comes in 5-foot height, I guess. So that'd be, typically they come in 60 inches in, technically that'd be width because you're actually ordering the length. And so finding panels that you can wrap that'll fit that is what you're going to use your measurement on. So this one is exactly 60 inches or 5 foot. Sorry, the measure tape is upside down. But 5 foot is the standard usually of how high they are, or width wise if you want to do it that way. And then you just order how much in a roll you need. So knowing that the roof width wise is about 52 inches, I know that I can get that to fit within the 60 inches of width. So we're only going to cut it to the length, which is 70. So I'm going to get this kind of cutting table cleaned off, set up, and we're going to cut our piece and start the install. So usually I have my wrap rolls hung up there, but because this black one doesn't come with a center pivot point, such as like this, I can't fit it over my PVC pipe that holds it in there. So instead of re-rolling it all, I'm just gonna go ahead and put my two cut tables together, clean them off really, really good. Yes, they're really stained, but you can tell I use this as a cut table a lot. But I'm just gonna put those together, and then I will have the width of it go down for my cuts instead of hanging it from my wall. So I got my tables set up. I got my straight edge down here kind of holding the material. We're gonna roll this down. Pretty sure we're gonna be under 70 inches. Oh good, we are on the board with 70 inches. Also, another little thing is that whenever you order your material in a length, they're always gonna have what's called a salvage edge. So I always go past that. So for instance, this grid has, I don't know, I think they are 2 inch long. Yeah, so each square is 2 inches long. So this is our salvage edge. This is a rough cut edge. It's not a true straight edge. So we're actually going to have our true straight edge technically be measured from the first grid here. So that's why this excess all the way to the end, I'm not gonna count that. So I'm gonna go to 70 inches right here on our grid line. So we'll bring it over here, 70 is right there. Looks like we're just about on a grid line down there. So I also like to use Expo markers because I can erase them on the backing. So 70 inches is our measurement. We're gonna go a little bit over that just to keep our grids evenly flowing. So I'm gonna go a little past that. And so we're gonna use this grid line as our cut mark for our roof. So now I can just kind of go through, do like a little marker here, there, everywhere, and then take my tape measure off. grab my straight edge, swap it out so it holds that down, and then I'll make my cuts. So here's our first one. Whoop, nice. We're gonna slide that sucker on down, line it up, and then make our next cut on that side. Nice pressure on your straight edge so it doesn't move on you, because that's always not fun either. And be careful of where your fingers are, because I might have lobbed off the tip of my finger once by having it in the way and didn't realize it till it was too late. So that really sucked. Alright, so now we have our length cut. Widthwise is what we're going to be doing on the car. I'm going to be continuing with the arrows that are on here with the flow. So this will be our front, that'll be our back. That way we can keep track of which way the flow of the shine of the material is going. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to do before we get going is the roof is technically going to be a little bit of a separate piece than, say, those rain guard rails that we're doing. So because they're all the same length, and because I know that my roof, I can work with a 50-inch wide piece, that gives me 10 inches of extra that I can go ahead and cut off now and use later for the two rain rails that they've got. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off my 10 inches from here. That way I have those to be able to use for the rain rail things. All right, so here's our roof piece. Here's our two side rain guard pieces, which I'll split those in half when I'm ready for them. And let's get the roof started. I feel like this needs to come back a little bit more. That way I can. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off. Keep going. And on the inside. Yeah. A little bit more. Alright. Now, this is probably one of the hardest parts because I'm by myself. Usually I'll have a second person on that side handling that side of the vinyl. However, we don't have that. So it's going to take me a little extra steps and a little bit longer to make sure everything is straight and even as can be. I really wish I could just like lay on the windshield. Unfortunately, I cannot. The other thing I wish was that I had my topside creeper, but the legs are too high, so they don't fit underneath the car to where I could like lay over top, because that would have been wonderful. But fortunately, that's not the case. So now that's what I do want to happen. And the static electricity is just so much fun to deal with. I'm gonna kind of drape that side, untuck that side, because it's all sorts of stuck on itself. Alright, there we go. And try to get that nice and even here in the middle. Okay. And where's my squeegee? You want to start in the center and work your way out towards the end of the body line. So because this has a window, I'm actually going to try to move this window part closer and release it through this window area. And then the rest, I'm just going to work my way down the best that I can. Right there is the windshield. Now the only downside to gloss colors, especially black, is that you see every little line, nook, tranny, smudge, scratch. Like, you see absolutely everything. And there's really no way to combat that, to be honest, because even if I were to squeegee my sprayer, or spray my squeegee, you're still gonna see the minuscule little fabric marks just because of the color. So that's the only downside to gloss, especially gloss black. So we have a little wrinkle there. Let's grab our heat gun. Where do I put the battery for it? Alrighty, so we got a little baby wrinkle. Why are we honking? Okay. Right here. I need some heat. Take that wrinkle out. There we're at. And then we're gonna squeegee. Gosh, I need to close the door. That sun is right in my eyeball. Now, we're gonna work our way back. But before we do this side, we're gonna go ahead and lay that other side. So again, we're gonna work. I love me some KPMF though. The air release is top notch on these films. Their satin one is excellent. That's what we have on the single cab dually. I have like a little. Got carried away and just wrapped. Okay. So I already tucked in this back part. There's smudges and fingerprints all over this thing. And again, with any dark color gloss material, if it doesn't have a film that is for the install, you're going to see all of the tiny little minuscule scratches that are in it. It's just part of it. So I have yet to tuck the front, but so back here, well, I mean, you can see right here, we've already cut right here. Now, instead of using a knife, I actually sharpened one of my tuck tools and was able to use that. And then the back here, you can see where it is tucked underneath the, that back seal. So I was gonna show y'all really quick on this side of how to use the cutting portion of the tuck tool. So I've already kind of gone through and laid that all down. So now I'm just going to kind of use this and put some pressure. And we're just going to go through. All right. Oh, hang on. Let me get that. There we go. It's getting colder in here, so the wrap is starting to break. So we're gonna continue on in here. Start right here. Boop. Okay. So that way we get a nice clean cut without having to use a blade, which is really nice. And then these little center pieces, I'm gonna use those extra cut off parts that I had already used for those spots. All right, so I have the driver's side rain rail done. So that's looking pretty good. Woohoo! We're gonna start on the other side, and I'm gonna show y'all on that side how I kind of did that one. But I even got the little inside lip on this side done too, so pretty excited about that. Now we're gonna go to this side. Be sure to check your arrows. You want your arrow to follow the same way that you wrapped the roof, so that if there is any sort of shine difference, then you won't notice it. So we're gonna get this kind of laid out. We have overlap in the front, we got overlap in the back. And then I started from front to back, and then that way it was just easier to kind of go along. Alrighty. So sorry about the heater. It's just getting a little bit too cold in here for this material. But this is super thin material, and it doesn't enjoy the cold. Alright. Now I'm just going to go ahead and peel this first off. Up the sides of either side and kind of press down the center. Got it all done. So I will end up doing the antenna satellite that goes like back there. I'll do that another time when it's a little warmer. But I might just go ahead and knock out the trunk too while I'm here. So, sorry I did a time lapse for that, guys. I just needed a jam session. So, if you need a little bit more details of that, just kind of slow it down if you can, or pause at certain spots. But, I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. You're pretty much just tucking stuff in this trim piece. And then I just followed the body lines for the edge pieces around here. So along this edge there, same with the down below. One thing about corners is when you get to this corner, you kind of want to take a piece and heat it and then kind of stretch it around and hug it around it. That way it holds a nice clean corner and edge. Same with up here in these like rounded edges. Just kind of stretch it a little bit, not too much. You don't want it to break, but that way you get a nice, super clean edge on it. See, it's so pretty. And then same on this side. Nice, clean corner edge. All right, so that's all for tonight. Tonight. It's been a long day. I had a lot of other stuff going on in the middle of this, so what else is new? But we got the whole roof done. The trunk is done. The only things that are left to be black is the hood and the mirrors. So the hood, that's definitely a big piece. And because of the curvatures and stuff, I'm going to probably wait to have an extra hand with that. And then the mirrors I still have to remove. So I think that is all for tonight. And check back tomorrow for another update.